Welcome to the stage, Travis Tate.
Thank you. When my oldest son was about 4 years old, I took him to the zoo. It was just me and him. We had a great day. We got to see every animal there. We rode their little train around. We even saw a Bengal tiger spray a field trip of little kids with urine. You guys, it was magical, all right? But after a few hours, I said, all right, buddy, it's time for us to head home. And my son goes, but Dad, what about the gift shop? We always go to the gift shop. And I said, I know, buddy, but money's a little bit tight right now. We're not gonna be able to do that this time. And he let go of my hand and he stopped walking. And I heard him say, I'm going to that gift shop. And I turned and looked back at him, and he had an evil look on his face. He was staring me right in the eyes, and he whispered, stranger, kidnapper. So I grabbed his hand and said, all right, we are leaving. That's when he started screaming, stranger, kidnapper, help! And everybody within earshot turned and looked right at me. And I realized that if he sticks with his story, which he definitely will, that I have no way to prove this is actually my kid. So I did the most logical thing I could think of. I picked him up and ran for the exit. On my way out, there was a tired-looking mother pushing a stroller, and she shoved it out in front of me and yelled, hey, you stop! But I just fake left and cut right. Went right past her, just like Bo Jackson on Tecmo Bowl. But as I kept running, I looked over my shoulder and saw that she had picked up her stroller, and she was trying to chase me down. And she's screaming, wait! Come back! Take mine too! I'll give you a 2-day head start. And that's the story of how I got my 2 younger kids. Give them right out of the zoo, it's fun. My kids are all grown up now, though. They're adults. My daughter, she's my youngest. When she was getting ready to graduate high school, she asked me what I got on my SATs. And I lied to her. Because I wanted her to think I'm smart, which I'm not. I didn't go crazy, though. I kept it realistic. I just told her I got a B-, which is pretty good. Oh, if you're sitting next to somebody that didn't get that joke, they got a worse score than I did. My kids are smart, especially my daughter, but she's cocky about how smart she is. Like one time we're playing that card game, Apples to Apples, and she had a card she couldn't get rid of. She's getting frustrated. She's like, this game is for old people. All of the names and references are old people. I've never ever heard of anybody named Brian Sergio before. Is that somebody that lived during the 80s? Was he one of the new kids on the block? Was his face on a pog? So I looked at her card and I was like, kiddo, I don't know how to tell you this, but that does not say Brian Sergio. No, it says brain surgeon. And I hope you can appreciate the card I'm gonna play is irony. I was walking by my son's room one night. His door was closed. I knocked because I respect his space. And I said, hey, could you please take the trash out before you go to bed? I would really appreciate that. And he goes, I'll do it in a minute. I'm on the phone. Gall. And I stood there for a second and I heard him say, sorry about that. My stupid roommate's being annoying. So I knocked again. I was like, I'm not his roommate. I'm his landlord. Rent's due tomorrow. Congrats. You're an adult now, you jerk. My other son asked if he could borrow my beard trimmer, and the next day I needed it back. And he goes, oh, I'm all done with it. I'll go grab it for you. I was like, what do you mean you're all done with it? Your beard looks exactly the same as it did yesterday. Actually, bud, you just go ahead and hang on to that. Turns out I have a nut allergy I wasn't aware of. It's yours now. Congrats. My oldest son actually has Asperger's syndrome. If you don't know what that is, it's a form of high-functioning autism. And he's amazing. He's brilliant. We're super proud of him. My wife and I, though, we do worry about his future just a little bit. because we're not going to be around forever, and he's kind of socially awkward, so he has a hard time meeting new people, and we just hope he'll be able to find somebody that he can spend the rest of his life with and be happy, I wish there was a dating app he could use to find that person, because there's a dating app for everything else out there now. Plus, I've already got a name for the app. I would just call it Tap Dat Asperger's. I'm looking for investors, you guys. Hit me up. Yeah. It is true, I do have a son with autism. I've also got a son that's gay, and I've got a daughter that's gay as well, which means my sperm has a sense of humor. My daughter has been with her girlfriend for over 5 years, and I'm so glad they found each other. They're great together. Her girlfriend is white, which is kind of boring. We still love her, you guys. We're not monsters, okay? My son is engaged to a Filipino guy. If you know anything about Filipinos, you know they're partially Asian and partially Hispanic, which is awesome, because my oldest son, the one with Asperger's, he told me he's only interested in dating African-American women. Yeah, which means I am this close to getting a comedy get-out-of-jail-free card, you guys. I am so close. If anybody here knows a black lady that likes white guys and dinosaurs, you let me know, because that might be my new daughter-in-law. I'll get Jeff Goldblum to come perform the wedding, I'll just tell him it's an apartments.com commercial. He's not gonna know. He'll just show up and be weird, I actually know the moment my son became attracted to black women. I do. Me and my wife are at Walmart. He's sitting in the little cart. We're pushing down the aisle. And we walk by this beautiful black lady. And if you know anything about toddlers in general, but especially toddlers with Asperger's, sometimes whatever goes through their head just comes straight out of their mouth. And that's what happened on this day. We're walking by this lady, and out of nowhere, my son goes, "Mom, why is that lady black?" Super awkward, right? Not for her, though. She's used to it. She lives in Utah. But she was amazing. She was super sweet. She got right down by my son, and she goes, "It's because I eat a lot of chocolate, sugar." That's also why I got a big booty. And she slapped it twice. That was it, you guys. That was the moment. And he never went back. Just like they say. My son and his fiance, or maybe it's fiance, I don't know what we're saying now. I'll try. They're actually living with us right now, and I was making dinner the other night, and I could hear them in the front room just like laughing hysterically. So I was like, well, I wonder what's going on in there. So I poked my head in. They were having a tickle fight. They're 22-year-old adults having a tickle fight. I said, "You guys, just so you know, I walk by your room and hear weird noises coming out of there all the time. But I gotta say, this is by far the gayest thing you two have ever done." Ever. I ran into a guy, he's a few years older than me, I went to high school with him, and he was telling me it's time for him to get his prostate checked. He goes, "Yeah, I'm real nervous about it, man." I was like, "Why would you be nervous about it? It's no big deal, they do tons of those things every day." He goes, "Yeah, but I'm afraid I'm gonna get one of them gay doctors." I said, "All right, let me get this straight, pun intended. You think you're so irresistible that a doctor that swore the Hippocratic Oath, took years of medical school, is gonna lose his shit and throw all that away just because he sees your hairy ass?" Maybe what you're afraid of is that you might like it a little bit. Like the doctor's gonna be tapping him on the shoulder going, "Sir, I need that finger back." "I have a lot of appointments today, sir. If you could just stop clenching." You can keep the glove, though. It's yours now. Take it home, blow it up, draw a smiley face on it. I don't care, please. Just pull up your pants and leave, sir. I said, "All right, dude, let's just say devil's advocate that you're right. that this imaginary doctor of yours only became a doctor just so he could see straight guys' butts. Would you rather take your car to a mechanic that's never actually looked under a hood? Or to a mechanic that really loves what he does for a living? Because that's who I want lubing my chassis, okay? I want a 27-point inspection from a guy that's not afraid to scrape his knuckles up a little bit. I mentioned earlier I had to get my knee replaced. I gotta tell you, the worst part was actually having a catheter put in. Let me put that into perspective for you, okay? When you get your knee replaced, they basically cut your leg off, pound some metal pieces into the bone, and then sew you back together. And that wasn't as bad as having a catheter put inside of me, all right? So a catheter is, after surgery, they don't want you to get up and use the bathroom for the first couple days. So what they do is they take a rubber hose and they shove it right in the one-eyed pirate, just as far as they can get it, till it stops, you know? And then they don't want it popping out, so they put a little balloon in there and inflate it to anchor it. Yeah. Now, I was asleep when they did this to me, but for the amount of money I paid to have this surgery done, I think they should have woke me up so I could watch the doctor trying to inflate it, you know, just... Get my money's worth, you know? I made the mistake of looking at it, too. Oof. Can't unsee that. No. It looked like a medieval torture for public urination, is what it looked like, right? It looked like if you got one of those big, thick metal straws from the gas station and you shoved a hot dog on the end of it. Or like if Beaker from the Muppets was trying to swallow a pipe. That's basically what it looked like, yeah. I asked my wife if she wanted to see it, because I knew she would, you know? I thought I was gonna get huge laughs. Nope, that's not what I got. She pulled back the covers and went, "Aw." That is not the sound you want to hear from somebody when you show them that, okay? You want like on King Kong where they open up the curtains and pandemonium ensues, people are trampling each other, that's the respect you want. You don't want the same sound somebody made the first time they saw Baby Yoda, okay? Yeah. Which is why, ladies, I think if you ever get one of those unsolicited pictures, you really want to teach them a lesson, just send back, "Aw." It's adorable. It looks like a little baby chick sitting in an Easter basket. There's even a couple little tiny Cadbury mini eggs down there. It's precious. Bless your heart. That'll teach you. Okay, that's where the money's at. I found out my wife likes to play hard to get. Yeah, usually she's really obvious about it because she's kind of flirty and giggly. There's other times she's straight up confusing, okay? Like one night we're laying in bed and she goes, "Just so you know, I don't feel like fooling around or anything tonight." And I said, "Okay," and I rolled over to go to sleep. She got mad. She goes, "That's it?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "You're not even gonna try?" I was like, "No, you just told me you weren't in the mood. Why would I try?" She goes, "Because I'm trying to play hard to get." I said, "Oh, that's funny, because I'm trying to play I'm not a predator." You can see where the confusion comes in, right? I think what made her mad was that was like the first time in my entire life that I ever handled that situation like an adult. Because normally if she says she's not in the mood, I'm like, "Fine," and I roll over and kick the blanket around. Because at the end of the day, I'm just a giant toddler. And I'm probably gonna throw a tantrum if I don't get to play with my favorite toys, okay? It's boobs, that's my favorite toy. It's boobs. One night, I said, "Hey, you wanna fool around?" And before I could even get the D out, pun intended, she goes, "Nah." I was like, "Okay, I mean, if you don't want to, that's cool, but could you at least let me finish my sentence?" And she goes, oh yeah, the reason I interrupted you is because I thought the proposal should be just as premature as the sex would have been. Yeah. See, I know exactly why you guys reacted the way you did. Because all the guys in the room are like, ooh, that hits a little close to home. And the ladies are like, yeah, but only for like a minute. We go through dry spells sometimes. Every couple does. It's normal. I get that. I just get paranoid that she doesn't even realize that we're going through a dry spell. Like she's just going through her day, happy-go-lucky, like nothing's wrong. You know, she's like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh well, I'll remember when I remember. But for me, it's like the end of the world. Every day that goes by, I get more angry and frustrated. I start dragging my knuckles on the ground like I'm a caveman. And I start making dumb decisions. Like one time I thought, all right, she doesn't want me to put the moves on her, fine. I'm not gonna put the moves on her. Let's see how she likes that. Turns out she likes that just fine. Business as usual at my house. The other day she was bragging to me about how much better she is at multitasking than me. Which is fine because she is, it's true. I just didn't like the way she went about it. Because she was like, as a woman, I have the ability to multitask and do all of those tasks very well, unlike you, who's just a simple man. I said, okay, you're so good at multitasking, I wonder if you could answer this for me. Why is it that you can't have sex and have a headache at the same time? So I've always wondered that, you know? I get leg cramps when we're doing that all the time. Sometimes both legs. I've had it in my abs. Yeah, I got a few. I didn't quit. I'm not Simone Biles. No. I just started using my elbows, you know, like I was army crawling like Rambo behind enemy lines, just doing it for my country. So next week is actually my anniversary. It'll be my 27th anniversary. Yeah. And we still get along amazingly. Like, we're happier than we ever have been, that's the truth. And my friends are always asking me for advice. You know, they're like, what's your secret? How do you make it last? And one thing I always tell them is, in any good relationship, you have to have compromise, okay? I'll give you an example. Years back, my wife had a bit of a problem with the length of my toenails, okay? But instead of judging me like all of you just did, she was actually really cool about it. She came home one day with this little French maid costume. She goes, I'll make you a deal. Every time you clip your toenails, I will put this on for you. And it was a great motivator, you guys. I improved a ton. She has to put that thing on like 3 or 4 times a year now. I love telling that joke because everybody in the crowd's like, that's gross. And you know what? I'll give you that. It is pretty gross. But trust me, you have never lived until you've tapped your toenail on the floor like a velociraptor in Jurassic Park. It'll make you feel alive, you guys. You should go home and try it. We have to wait like 4 months, but then try it. Another thing I always tell my friends is, you know, you gotta mix things up in the bedroom a little bit, you know? Nothing too crazy. You don't wanna end up on the news. You still gotta make it fun. Like one time I stood at the end of my bed just like this. I said, honey, I'm an X-Wing fighter. And you are the Death Star. And I'm gonna fly through your trench until I reach your exhaust port. And that's when I'm gonna fire my proton torpedoes. Pew, pew, pew. And all you have to do is just lay there and let the force flow through you. Tell me to stay on target while I recite these actual lines from Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Look at the size of that thing. We're headed for the target shaft now. At that speed, will you be able to pull out in time? 3 minutes in closing. I'm in range. Target's coming up. Just hold him off for a few seconds. Almost there. Almost there. I can't hold him off. It's away. Did it go in? Negative. Negative. It just impacted on the surface. Shattered deflector shields up. What can I say? Wasn't my job. Wasn't my job. I snore really bad. You guys are all like, yeah, we kind of figured, actually. I even use a CPAP machine, but even that doesn't completely get rid of it. Just makes it sound like Jacques Cousteau is snorkeling in my bathtub or something in the next room. So my wife and I, we play white noise on our Alexa at night to kind of drown out the sound of my snoring. We like to use the rain sound setting. I always thought it would be cool if they offered purple rain sounds. It'd be like regular rain sounds, but every once in a while it would go, ooh. That's a pretty good Prince impression, right? Some of you might not know who Prince is. If that's the case, he's like Bruno Mars. But cool. And dead. He died. Yeah, I'm a huge Prince fan. He overdosed. It was sad, you know. I actually think he overdosed because he was a little tiny guy and he was taking the adult doses. So just be careful out there, folks. That's what I'm saying. I actually did a little bit of research. I found out that Prince's last words were so, I was talking about my Alexa. I accidentally called my Alexa Siri one night. Yeah, now neither one of them will talk to me. My snoring is so bad, though, that over the years, my wife has developed insomnia. Now she has to take an Ambien just to fall asleep at night. And I know everybody here has heard crazy stories about people taking Ambien. And I'm just here to tell you that they are all true, okay? That's an insane medication. For my wife, it creates an alternate personality, kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. Me and my kids call this alternate personality Ambien Penny, because my wife is named Penny. My kids think Ambien Penny is way cooler than regular Penny. One time they got our bathrobes and dressed up like druids and came into our bedroom and started chanting, "We would like to summon Ambien Penny. Can she come out and play?" My wife is super allergic to gluten. Makes her very sick. Ambien Penny don't care. No, not even a little bit. She sent me a Snapchat video one time of her eating a giant piece of chocolate cake. She goes, "Hey, tell your wife I hope she enjoys having stomach cramps for 3 days. Give me a call if you ever lose 30 pounds, big boy." Yeah, that tells me a couple things, actually. One, Ambien Penny is kind of mean. And two, apparently she does not identify as my wife, like, at all. And that worries me, because her decision-making skills on that stuff is terrible. Like, she'll get on the internet in the middle of the night and order crazy stuff. Like, did you guys know you can order glitter by the pound on Amazon? You can, and she does. Yeah. She loves doing glitter projects in the middle of the night, and she gets that stuff everywhere. If she ever has to have a chest x-ray done, it's gonna look like a third grader's art project in there. The doctor's gonna look at the x-ray and go, "Yep, just as I suspected, you have stripper lung." One day I came home from work and there was a kayak in our front room. She's all upset, trying to blame it on our kids. I was like, "Nope, that wasn't the kids. That was definitely Ambien Penny." She goes, "Why would I order a kayak, even on Ambien? It doesn't make sense." I was like, "I don't know, but why would you wake me up in the middle of the night to ask if we live by more rivers or lakes?" Because you did. And you didn't listen to me, because this is a river kayak. I told you specifically, I can't use a river kayak because it's short and I'm top heavy. I'll tip over. She goes, well, you can't snore if your head's underwater, big boy. Told you, a little bit mean, right? I tried taking an Ambien one night, and then I started watching the movie The Inglourious Bastards. Now, if you guys haven't seen that movie, because I know this is Utah, and it's rated R. So for you, we'll call it Inglorious Guys That Don't Have Dads, okay? But in the opening scene of the movie, they start out by speaking French. Then they switch to English, so the people that are hiding in the house can't understand what they're saying. Well, I didn't catch that little piece of dialogue. I'm just sitting there watching the movie going, holy shit, Ambien makes me understand French. This is amazing. I'm Rosetta Stone. One night, middle of the night, Ambien Penny wakes me up. I take off my CPAP mask, and she goes, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I got pregnant again? I was like, no, that would not be funny at all. Because we're both in our 40s, and you made me get a vasectomy, remember? And her Ambien answer was, yeah, you would have a lot of explaining to do. It's a crazy drug, you guys. It's a crazy drug. I am just about done here. One more time, thank you for coming out. I appreciate all of you being here. You guys are an awesome crowd, just so you know that. But I want to tell you about an argument that I got caught up in, okay? It was at a Chipotle. And if the people that were arguing, there was 2 older African-American ladies in front of me. And then there was 4 Latina women that were working there. And then there was 2 lesbian couples right behind me, various nationalities, like a lesbian League of Nations. And the women in front of me were being really terrible to the workers. And they were saying things like, hey, you keep messing up our order. If you're gonna come here and take jobs, at least learn English, you can do your job right. And the women behind me were like, whoa, you can't talk to them like that. You need to treat them with respect. Talk to them like a human being. And the women working there were like, oh, you're sticking up for us right now? Well, that's pretty funny because you 4 come in here all the time. You don't even make eye contact with us, let alone say thank you. So it's pretty funny that you're our hero right now. And I'm standing there as a straight white male going, please don't notice me, please don't notice me. And that's exactly when they noticed me. And they all start looking at me like they want me to pick a team. And this is an unwinnable situation. I recognize that. So I figured the best thing I could possibly do is try to unite these women together. So I said, ladies, look, it's terrible that you're all here arguing with each other like this. Because you should really all be at home vacuuming right now. And you know what? It worked. Yeah, they teamed up like Voltron. It was scary, you guys. I'm glad you're all able to laugh at that, though, because people get offended so easily nowadays. Even at a stand-up comedy show at a true story where I'm the victim. I don't know if they're ever going to invent a pill that cures outrage, but I do know it's going to have to be a suppository. All right, thank you, everybody. I'm Travis Tate.